It is a really great pleasure for the League of Women Voters to have Morgan Curry here, who is the executive director of Skagit Gleaners. And we were introduced to Skagit Gleaners and to Morgan because Kathy Ream had been putting out our QR codes, voter registration pamphlets, and she's been everywhere in the county for sure with those. A wonderful effort. And she went to Skagit Gleaners, who openly said, we would love to have one of your posters. And so that's how we got the idea that it would be really good for the league to understand more about what Skagit Gleaners does and is, and how perhaps there might be some partnerships and things that we could do together where our missions overlap. So it's my pleasure to introduce Morgan Curry, who is the executive director of a food rescue and recovery organization called Skagit Gleaners. Skagit Gleaners has been serving Skagit County for over 35 years. And in the wake of COVID-19, Morgan has had to use transformational leadership to pivot the overall reach and growth of this organization. She has a deep passion to help families reach sustainability while doing her part as stewards for the environment. Morgan strives to bridge gaps in resources to underserved populations. She's also the vice president of the Skagit Women's Alliance Network, the SWAN Network, and is active with various organizations in the county, including Habitat for Humanity and the Government Affairs Committee for the Mount Vernon Chamber of Commerce. She also serves on the Curriculum Development Committee for Leadership Skagit, where she works with a team of others to incorporate more diversity, inclusion, equity, and justice principles into the traditional curriculum. Morgan graduated with her Bachelor's of Arts in Human Services from Western Washington University and is currently pursuing a dual law degree, Juris Doctor, and Master's in Public Administration from Seattle University. She's a single mom and has a wonderful 3-year-old. Outside of work, Morgan enjoys spending time outdoors with her daughter and a miniature wiener dog. She hopes to raise her daughter with a sense of community empowerment. So with that, Morgan, welcome to the League of Women Voters. Thank you so much for being with us. And we'd like to hear more about Skagit Gleaners and about you and your mission.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the introduction, Wendy. Can everyone hear me okay? I'm using a microphone. Okay, great. Just a couple housekeeping. Wendy, how much time do I have for my presentation?
You have up to about 30 minutes. So and then maybe we'll have 5 or 10 minutes for questions.
Awesome. That's wonderful. Okay, so some of you have your cameras off, but if anyone knows how to use the reaction emoji, I would love to just see like a hand of who's ever heard of Skagit Gleaners before, or who's ever been there. You can either physically raise your hand, or if you go to your bottom of your page, there's a reaction button and you can do like a thumbs up. Cool. Awesome. I love talking to people who've never heard of Skagit Gleaners. Prepare to have your mind blown. So I'm going to share my screen. I prepared a little presentation for everyone. Oops, it says host has disabled participant screen sharing. Wendy, are you able to allow me to share my screen, or I can just talk? I don't need to present.
Let's see. Mine says that you are allowed to share your screen. So we've got a disconnect here.
If you go up to my photo where I'm talking, if you click those 3 dots and you can select to have me be co-host, I think I'll be able to share that way.
That would do it for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. There you go.
Okay, let's give this a try. Here we go. Okay. Oops. I'm going to minimize you guys just for a second. I need to get my slideshow set up with my notes on it. And I think there's a way to do. Here we go.
Morgan, while you're fixing that up, I just want to say that we had some kale in our yard last spring when we were clearing our garden, and we called the Gleaners and they came for a big box of produce. So it's just great to have a way to get our gardens out to the public.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for thinking of us. We do that periodically. The other thing that we do, and I'll talk about it a little later, is we actually love to go out and glean the, fields. So we'll have teams of families out and just really teaching that generational, the next generation of young kids that we don't need to throw this food away. The food that grows from the ground, we can give it back to an organization that distributes it to families. And it's just a whole generational gap that I love to do with families. So, okay. Does everyone see my main Skagit Gleaners screen there? Wendy, do you see it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good. Wonderful. So Skagit Gleaners has been an organization in Skagit County since 1984. It actually started out by a couple families. They would go out and do exactly what we were just talking about. They would repick all the stuff that farmers couldn't use in their farmland, and instead of it being thrown away, they would glean it and use it. So that's how it started. And then over time, it sort of morphed into a larger operation where we would then glean and take all the excess food from grocery stores and restaurants, and we would redistribute it to families that could use it instead of it being thrown away. So I don't know what the numbers are yet for 2020 because the year's not over. But in a normal non-COVID year, we recycle and redistribute about 975,000 pounds of food from the community that would have been thrown away. And that's just from grocery stores, restaurants, distributors, small farmers, things like that. The mission of our organization, so Skagit Gleaners rescues and redistributes food and merchandise to waste-conscious working families, fostering a community of sustainability and stewardship. One of our big values is sustainability. How can we help families reach that type of financial freedom or individual freedom that allows them to live comfortably and keep food out of the landfill and you use the food that's around us that's already being produced instead of it being thrown away. So not only is it sustainability for the environment, but sustainability for families as well. It helps them cut back on grocery costs for sure. Here are some pictures. We have a market where we take all of the abundant food and we set it up. We try to set it up as closely to like a grocery store as we can. We have grocery carts and people are able to come in and shop in what you see the market here within the limits. And then another piece of us is we run a similar rescue and recovery program, but for clothing and houseware items also. It's in our same building. We take all the abundant thrift store items, personal donations, garage sale items, whatever businesses or personal families can't get rid of that, they might have tried selling, but they can't. So then they can donate it to Gleaners instead and they can get a tax write-off. So that way they're still getting some money instead of it just being going into the landfill. So we help families on both aspects, the food piece of it, and then helping families achieve clothing and houseware items. We have tons of baby clothes, women's clothing. We run a Dress for Success program, so we have access to interview clothing for individuals that may need it. We are an essential service to families during COVID-19. So just to give you guys a little bit of a backstory, I graduated from Western last June with my human services degree. And right at that same time was when I officially became the director of Skagit Gleaners. So I had only been in my role for about not even a year before COVID came. And it was, it was a great way to start out my career. It gave me a lot of challenges. And I'm just, you know, I really had to pivot the organization, and once COVID came, I had to figure, there was just tons of more families that needed our services, and we saw a significant increase of people that were getting laid off and people that wanted an alternative to food banks and ways to help stretch their dollar and all that kind of stuff. So it was quite the challenge trying to figure out how we can pivot the organization to really help those that needed it during a pandemic. So some of these two pictures are my two favorite pictures. That's a picture of we partnered with Bimbo Bakeries, and that's a big semi truck that's filled to the rim of abundant bread, English muffins, bagels, sliced bread, pastries, cakes, and all of that we were able to redistribute. And to this day, ever since March, we redistribute about a truckload of that 2 or 3 times a week, not only to our membership base, but out to the community that needs it. So we partner with, I'll go into our partnerships a little later, but on any given week, we're redistributing roughly about 5,000 all the way up to 15,000 pounds of abundant food, just depending on what the week entails. So just to give you an idea, since each month since COVID, we have rescued nearly 130,000 pounds of food from businesses and dispersed it to families, which is more than doubling what we normally would rescue a month. And the reason for this is, one, restaurants were shutting down and food banks were changing their distribution model. People were not buying fresh fruit, fresh produce from stores. So it really saw an increase in the amount of food coming in through our doors. And with this increase, I had to get a little creative with how can we use this food and push it out so it's not going to bad, so it's not getting wasted, and also reaching the most marginalized groups in our community. So like I said, we, especially at the beginning of COVID, we were dispersing roughly over 16,000 pounds a week of our surplus food to like-minded organizations like all the local food banks, the Mount Vernon High School Pantry, and migrant housing complexes. We have helped our members save about $180,000 in grocery costs each month since the start of COVID. And then this other picture with one of our members in his grocery cart, I just love using that photo as an example of what one shop could do for a family. So the way that, like, more logistically, the way that the program works is Skagit Gleaners is a membership program. Everyone that uses our services pays, just contributes to a nominal shared contribution that just helps pay for rent, electricity, lights. It creates more of a community atmosphere, a co-op atmosphere, instead of people just showing up to receive something. It really creates a place where people can give and receive instead of just receive. And then another piece of the membership is you also have to volunteer at that organization 3.5 hours a month to just help keep payroll costs low. And really what that does is that helps it so that I'm the director there, but I'm only there about 15, maybe 20 hours a week. And it's because we have 400 other families that are there doing volunteer time and really just running the show. We're open 7 days a week. All of our volunteers run the thrift store. Most of them run the market. I mean, little guidance here and there. And really all what I try to do is I just write grants, and I try to figure out different ways that we can push this food out to the community in like a mass quantity style, because it's been coming in that way. We've really been serving as more of like a hub of food instead of just our small program that we run. So we've really expanded in a lot of ways with that. This next photo, one of the ways that we started diverting food out in the community is we would give leftover crops to families in need. As you guys probably are aware, COVID hit local farmers hard this year. Some of them had really good years. Others didn't. It was more of the local ones. Here's a picture of me out at Samish Bay Cheese Farm. And we would go out once a week and we would glean leftover kale and cucumbers and whatever he had. It was always a treasure going out there. we would then give our abundance to migrant farm workers. So here's another picture of us out at Hayton Farm, and whatever we couldn't use, whatever was too much for our membership base, we, like I said, we tried our best to find most marginalized groups, underserved groups in our community that were being hit especially hard from COVID, and just trying to bridge that gap there. We also were selected to serve as a CARES distribution site. So for the whole month of October, we were receiving about eight to 12 7-foot tall pallets of milk and chicken and dairy products and produce products. And of course we made just a small fraction of that went to our membership base. The rest of it we really pushed out. We would go into low income apartments, migrant housing complexes, and I would just show up with our truck and just open up the back of the truck and let families have access to that. And the reason why we chose to go to them instead of having them come to us is because, especially working with the Latino population, a lot of them don't drive. A lot of them don't have driver's license, and it's just it was just a way for us to kind of meet them where they're at. So we serve roughly 15,000 individuals a month, and that's just in our membership base. That's not including all the extra food that we expel out into the community. Our current community partners that we push, that we I keep saying push food out, like, yeah, that we push food out into the community are the YMCA. We help support their childcare programs with our abundant food. We help and have good collaboration with all local food banks. We work closely with migrant housing complexes, cane farms. Not only would we go out to the actual farms where they would be employed, we would go out to their homes, to the migrant homes, and we would come with just vanfuls of food and go door to door and let them get access to food. We also partner with Skagit Housing Authority. So this is where we go out to low income apartments. We partner with Catholic Community Services. They helped us with the connections with migrant housing complexes. We partner with Ferndale Gleaners, which is a similar program up in Bellingham. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit smaller, quite a bit smaller. We partner with Food Miracle Network. We also partner with local cattle and pig farmers. So whatever food is too yucky for our members or for us to give out into the community, we didn't want it going to waste. So then we would partner with local cattle and pig farmers, and then they would come pick it up, and then they would use it as pig feed or animal feed, and it was all going to use. And then whatever was too yucky for them, then we partnered with the city, and they used it all for compost. We're our city's like favorite client, because they pick up compost from us almost about 3 or 5 times a week. So a big bin of it. We also partner with the majority of thrift stores in Skagit County. Some of our thrift stores that we do partner with are places like Spruced Up, Bargains Galore, Encore, Habitat for Humanity, those bigger ones. And whatever clothing or houseware items, stuff that our members can't use, especially for the clothing. There's a lot of abundant clothing. Instead of it being thrown away, we would partner with another organization called the Ark, and then they would actually take that clothing and then restrip it and repurpose it and make towels out of it. So our program was just a complete like recycle, like 360-degree recycle program. It hurts my heart throwing like anything away, so we don't throw much away at Gleaners. We have the means and an opportunity to serve more. So these are some of the photos of what a typical shop looks like in our market. You can see all of these fresh greens and peppers. And the nice thing about shopping at Gleaners is, well, besides keeping it out of the landfill, but it really encourages, because you're getting these like second best fruits and veggies, they're right on that cusp of expiring already or going bad. So it really encourages families to go home and cut up and use those fresh fruits and veggies right away. And it encourages healthier eating. It encourages like food preservation. It just encourages overall sustainability. Like I said earlier, not just for the families, but for the environment as well. I always tell people that there's so much food that's already available, that's already produced, that we just need to, a lot of these other food assistance programs, they try reaching for like the highest apples, but there's already apples. Try to reach for your low hanging fruit and it's there, and we can all live comfortably from that. Okay, so who we serve, this is getting more into the logistics of being a member with us. So we serve working families who want to be frugal, waste conscious, and who want to give back to their community. There is no economic requirement. We serve anywhere from migrant workers all the way to school principals. It's really for families that just don't want to see the food go to waste. There is a lot of stigma around going to a food bank, and a lot of times Skagit Gleaners is grouped under that food bank umbrella. We try to provide an alternative to food banks. So some of the families do use our services because they are low income and they need it. But the majority of us want to use our services because they believe so much in that community piece of it, and that co-op piece of it, and that using the food and keeping it out of the landfill and just belonging to something where we're all able to just love on each other and have an attitude of gratitude and be stakeholders of a volunteer ran organization where we're all able to benefit something from it. We do help families who exit the food bank line. In some cases, we try to provide an alternative to food banks. When people ask me what's the difference between a food bank and Skagit Gleaners, I simply say that a food bank is more of an immediate relief for families. It's an immediate relief resource, whereas Skagit Gleaners is more of that sustainability piece of it. So yeah, if you need food right now and you're in a pinch, you use a food bank, but then like food banks are not designed to be like long term. Like the goal is to eventually move out of the food bank line. So then what's next? Then you can come to Skagit Gleaners and we can help you reach that financial sustainability while keeping your autonomy intact and providing a service where you're a stakeholder of the organization and you're able to give and receive. We serve a lot of women and their children. We serve a lot of homeschool families, a lot of families that have a lot of children typically. We serve anyone who wants to reach sustainability, either financially or environmentally. And for as far as like demographics go or populations, we serve Skagit County and a handful of families from Whatcom Island and Snohomish County. You do not need to live in Skagit County to use our services. So the only requirement really to be a gleaner is one, you just, well, there's a couple. The overall requirements is one, you need to be able to do the volunteer time, the 3.5 hours a month, and then you just need to be able to help with the overall nominal contribution of the organization. So being able to pay that membership fee, which is only $39 a month. And what that membership fee does, as I mentioned earlier, is it pays for the rent, electricity, lights, all of the operations of the organization. And in turn, you're able to shop in our market up to 3 times a week. Typically, each families get about 40 pounds of groceries with each shop, and then they so if they take full advantage of the program, they can get about 120 pounds of groceries a week for only $40 a month and 3.5 hour volunteer commitment. And then as far as like the thrift store side of it, you're able to shop in the thrift store as many times a week as you want. So, I mean, if you're looking at it from a budget or like a financial standpoint, it's a no-brainer to only have to pay $40 a month for basically for all of your grocery needs. And then it does something else for you too, because as you know, volunteers are generally happier people. When you're around a bunch of volunteers, you're going to be happy when you're contributing to something bigger than just your family or for the community. You're keeping all this excess food out of the landfill, and you have a stake in something that is contributing to the community in such a way, like it really just creates this co-op, this community of people that just love each other, and it's really remarkable. You should, if you guys ever get a chance to come tour and see who we are, and we're very serious on wearing a face mask, and we take it very seriously in social distance. You could just come and see the energy for yourself. What we value, so we value community, sustainability, fostering togetherness, thankfulness, waste consciousness, stewardship, diversity, and integrity. Here's a cute picture of one of our families, goat farmer, giving excess food that had gone a little bit bad, and she let her goats eat it. And then this top picture is just a sample shop of what one of our families did just from one of their shops for that week. So they're able to do a shop like that 3 times a week for only $40 a month. And you'll see in that photo, they have fresh fruit and veggies. I see some greens. I see pork or chicken. I see some soups and pasta. Anyway, it's just it's a really great way to cut back on grocery costs and contribute to the overall sustainability of our community. So how can you help? You can spread the word. You can help Skagit Gleaners connect with businesses and organizations. If you know of any that would be interested in donating like leftover food instead of them throwing away. And it's a win-win for the businesses too, because if they're going to be throwing that food away anyway, then they can give it to us and they can get a tax write-off and they can receive some money at the end of the year. So we provide tax receipts. You can donate your leftover items to us if you have any houseware items or clothing or food. Any of that is such a blessing. It's always welcome. We are always looking for monetary donations. Sometimes we run special programs where we would like to be able to sponsor families who may be experiencing hardship, or we run a couple Christmas programs every year where we try to sponsor a family for Christmas. So even though we get most of our revenue from the membership dues, there is special purchases that we need to make that do require extra money that we don't totally budget for. So you can become a member or you can volunteer at our organization. Both would be a blessing. You could join our board. We're always looking for new board members. But most importantly, you could share your wisdom and advice with myself. I'm pretty new to being an executive director. I would love to just sit down and meet and talk with any of you if you have any words of wisdom or advice or just someone to bounce ideas off of. I'm very much a progressive, kind of democracy driven leader. So if I'm always open to feedback or ideas. So here is information of how you can get in touch with me. You can write down my information now. If you have a pen and paper, you can take a picture with it on your phone. You could visit our website, send me an email, and I would just love to connect with you more. I'll leave the screen up for a minute while you guys, if anyone needed that information. So. Okay, let me stop sharing my screen so that I can see everyone. Any questions? Yeah. Oh, I see Ruth, you have your hand up already. Sorry, it's hard for me to see when questions pop up in the PowerPoint, so I'm sorry if that's been up for a while.
No, I just put it up.
Okay.
Yay! Oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm so excited about your methods of sustainability, and sounds like you're doing an amazing job. I just had a couple questions on where would be the greatest need for volunteers? Is it with the gleaning itself?
Yeah, especially in the summertime, I always need help going out into the farmland and picking, and some people really like doing it, but other people don't like doing it. So that would be a huge blessing if you would be interested in that. The other area is in our market and in our warehouse, getting ready for food distribution and things like that, just setting all the food up. That's always a huge need.
Okay. And then in the thrift store, do you charge for those items? Are there
No, it's all part of that $40 membership fee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, and you're able to shop in that thrift store as many times a week as you need or want. So I don't want to know what some of these people's houses look like.
Yeah. Well, you know, during the COVID, we all have stuff to get rid of, so
Yeah.
you might get inundated with stuff.
Because it's essentially a free thrift store. I mean, $40 a month, you get food and clothing. It's like, you know, what's better than a thrift store? A free thrift store. So people get in trouble.
Thank you. That was great.
Yeah, I saw a message in chat asking where we're located at. Good question. I keep forgetting to add this to the PowerPoint. We're located in Mount Vernon. We're right on Riverside Drive. We're right across from the Habitat for Humanity store. We're tucked behind some railroad carts. So you have to turn down this little road called Alder Lane, and then we're the first business on the left. There's another chat. Let me look. Yeah, and Kathy, thanks for your comment. It was awesome having you there to take a tour. It was really nice to see you.
It was awesome. Robert enjoyed it very much too. And I think that it gives you a much fuller sense of what being a part of that is all about. So as people feel comfortable, I hope that you'll take a chance to do that. It was very rewarding.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Morgan, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about, you know, if we were to want to sponsor a family or sponsor someone, do most of the members have cars, have their own transportation?
Yeah, most of them do. And then there's a few that don't, but we partner with Skagit Transit, and I get a grant every year that just we're able to distribute free bus passes.
Oh, okay.
So we can help families with transportation also. That was one of the barriers that we had.
I would imagine, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Great, that's terrific. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Other questions for Morgan? Who knew that all of these things were going on in terms of both environmental and financial sustainability? I am blown away. Thank you, Morgan, for warning us that was going to happen, because it sounds like an absolutely amazing organization.
Thank you. It's been a work in progress for the last 36 years. It has definitely evolved. So
That's terrific. So is there a component that either you or your members do around advocacy for any kind of particular legislation or?
This was our first year. I really wanted to make it very it's just, I mean, Gleaners, you're getting these people gathering anyway, and it's really anyone from all walks of life. Like, we see migrant workers all the way to school principals come in. You never know what their background or history is on policy issues. So when I saw that Farmstrong had this voting station up in their building, I was like, well, we need to have that at Gleaners too, because you never know who comes in our door. And so my vision is being able to use Gleaners as a space where people can be educated and receive opportunity and you know, we don't lean any one way on the spectrum on the political spectrum. As an organization, we don't lean one way, but just making that information available and available in different languages also, because we do serve a large migrant population or you know, Latino population also. So that's sort of what I was hoping, was just creating a way that Gleaners can be one of those places where information is available to them, and opportunity where they can get involved, and you know, even a place to share where when those political forums were going on about the county commissioners, listen in and tune in on this, and just having us be a space of information.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Looks like Jim has his hand raised.
Yes. As I mentioned, I had heard a presentation by Gleaners before, in the past. It was over a year ago. At that time, if I recall, the presenter indicated that some help was available to gleaners from the county and perhaps maybe even some other governmental bodies. Is that still ongoing, or how does that work for you?
We just received our very first county grant this year. It was with the CARES funding grant, but normally we are typically disqualified from other state or federal grants because we do require that nominal shared contribution. So it's seen as, you know, we're selling the food, which, you know, it's well worth it, but as far as funding goes, we've never really been able to rely on government support or help or anything like that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Interesting. Are there other questions for Morgan? Well, I don't see any hands being raised, but I just want to thank you again, Morgan, for your presentation and for all that we've been able to learn today about an organization that's been here as long as I've lived in Mount Vernon, that I wasn't even really aware of all the things that you're doing. So thank you for that.
Absolutely, of course.
And I would like to ask if you wouldn't mind talking a little bit about the SWAN virtual recognition before you go.
Of course, yeah. So thank you, Wendy, and all of you amazing ladies. This, as was mentioned earlier, I'm the vice president of SWAN, and so next Thursday, the 10th at 6 o'clock, we are going to do a virtual recognition of women who have just gone above and beyond during this COVID time and have really provided a service for our community. We're going to get a chance to recognize them. And then we're also getting a chance to recognize the 5 scholarship recipients that we were able to give scholarships to this year. So if you have some time next Thursday at 6 o'clock, you just go to our website and then there'll be a link on the website. It's all pre-recorded, but it's launching on Thursday at 6 o'clock. And I don't know if everyone is aware. I know Wendy is, but the League of Women's Voters of Skagit County was such a blessing and decided to sponsor that this year, and it has made a huge contribution in helping us launch the video so that we can get more scholarship donations for next year. One of the things that we do at our normal banquet every year is we use that as a way to fundraise for scholarships for that next year. We couldn't do our regular event because of COVID, so we had to do this video one, and then we needed to still figure out a way, how can we raise funds to get scholarships for next year. And so allowing us to do this video is going to help immensely in achieving that scholarship goal. So thank you.
Terrific. I'll go ahead and send out a notice to all of the members with the website. That's the SWAN website, correct, Morgan?
Yeah.
So that if you can join on Thursday at 6, I think that would be wonderful additional support for our members to give to SWAN. Important organization that's helping women be empowered and get more education. So,
are there any SWAN alumni on here? Anyone that has been on the board or, oh, very cool.
Really?
I guess I didn't really explain. Do you guys know what SWAN is? I guess I assumed that, but I can explain it a little bit more if you'd like.
Please do.
SWAN. Okay, so SWAN stands for Skagit Women's Alliance and Network. It's a nonprofit in Skagit County. It's been a nonprofit for 35 years, and its goal has been to recognize women leaders who have just excelled in business professionalism or some type of, like, we have different categories that women get nominated for, and it's just a way to empower, mentor, recognize women who have just been outstanding leaders in our community, and these these women are like legends for Skagit County. It's very, very cool. The event is very amazing. And the other piece of it is we do a mentorship program. So for younger women who might be up and coming, we pair them up with older women that have done this, and then it creates a very great lasting relationship where mentorship can be exchanged, and we can just continue on that mission of empowering women and recognizing women and making the voice for women louder. So I felt like it went in line with your guys' mission, and it's just a phenomenal that you guys are a sponsor this year for it. So thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. And Morgan, I know with all of the things that you're involved in and your 3-year-old, I know you have a ton of things on your plate. Thank you so much for taking the time to give this presentation to the League of Women Voters, which, by the way, is a membership organization for men and women. So it's not just for women anymore.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And
Good.
I wanted to ask, what's your wiener dog's name?
Oh, her name is Lady.
Lady.
Yeah.
That is terrific. Okay, again, thank you so much, Morgan. We're going to do just a little bit of league business. You're more than welcome to stay and hang out. But if you need to go, we certainly understand if you leave and do other.
Wonderful.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate your time. Take care.
Bye.
Great. Okay. Well, my gosh, that was wonderful.